All right. So we've covered the lesser capacity. Let's drill down a little bit on the medium capacity. I think that's what's coming next. It makes sense, right? Oh, well, no, actually, okay, yeah. Medium capacity has two parts. Or very Plankopian fashion. Now the verses say, and again, this thing is just great. Here we go. Now we just left off with, grant me to be careful and stop the slightest wrongs of the many that we do, and try to carry out instead each and every good of the many that we may. Next is like my favorite in the whole thing. You know, I remind myself of this when things go wrong. I try and remind myself of this when things seem to be going okay. All right. Bless me to perceive all that's wrong with the seemingly good things of this life. I can never get enough of them. They cannot be trusted. They are the door to every pain I have. Grant me then to strive instead for the happiness of freedom. This doesn't get any better than this, okay? So first you have to develop the wish for freedom, okay? Unless you know you're in jail, you will not try and get out. So that's what the whole first part of the medium capacity is. And this is, say, tarndu.
Tarndu.
Loke.
Okay.
Okay, K again is always like grow or develop or something. So this is to develop the wish to get free out of suffering. Tar, as we'll see, is like the word for edge or the extreme or reaching the end of something. So like if you had a lama named Tar Chin, it would be he who takes you to the edge. And that's Geshe Michael's teacher was Geshe Lobsang Tarchin. And then the second part is, okay, so now you do want to get out. It's like you realize, whoa, this is a mess. Next would be to learn how to gain the path to freedom. Say Tarlam?
Tarlam.
Tenab. Someone has got to tell me someday how they get up out of da ba ba, but I don't know. Another one is weird Tibetan things. Ten is teaching or learning. Tar Lam is path to freedom. Lam is a path. Tar is the outside to the extreme. Tar Lam. The first Dalai Lama's commentary to Abhidharmakosha is called Tar Lam Selje. Which translates to lamp on the path to freedom, which is pretty cool. So how do you get out of it? So the first part is getting the realization that having a good rebirth isn't going to do it for you. That you need to get out of rebirth entirely. And the second part is how to do it. So first part, okay, just suffering. All right, we have all these lists. In Buddhism, I just said the 3, the 4, and the 6, okay? There's different ones. The 3 sufferings, we had them in the last class. Do you remember?
Suffering of suffering.
The suffering of suffering.
Suffering of change.
Uh-huh.
And all-pervading suffering.
All-pervading suffering, right. The suffering of suffering is really easy. Backache, headache, somebody dying, relationship ending. It's like, wow, things are really suffering. And you get what they call goosebump renunciation when you get that. It's like, wow, things really stink. I'm really going to grind down on my practice, But then things start to go well, right? And then you can fool yourself, all right? So that's the second of the 3 sufferings, which is the suffering of change. Whatever is going well now, you will likely lose. It's just, everything has a shelf life, right? Your life, your health, your brain, your relationships, your eyes. You guys are all young. Just stick around some, okay? You don't heal so quick when you get hurt. Your eyes get worse, It's a little harder to get up after a rough night. All right. The 4 is the classic one, the classic visions that Lord Buddha saw when he left the compound. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to the 3rd one. The 3rd one is pervasive suffering, and that's that everything we have, all these things that came together, has a shelf life. They call it pervasive suffering. We're made out of stuff that's going to fall apart. Everything in the world is made out of stuff that's going to fall apart. That's pervasive suffering. And it's kind of what drives the other two of the three. The four is the classic visions that Lord Buddha, Prince Siddhartha saw when he finally left his palace before he became known as the Buddha. He went out and he saw old people for the first time, and he asked his driver, "What the heck is that?" He said, "Oh, that's old. It happens to everybody, Prince." And then he saw corpses wrapped, and being burned. He says, "Whoa, whoa, 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 what's that? What are those people doing?" He says, "My Lord, they're dead." Because he grew up in a place where they protected him from everything. The prophets, when he was born, said he would either be, Lord of the entire planet or a great spiritual leader. And his dad was like, "I'll take the first one." Who was a king and a powerful king, but he wanted his prince to be. It's like, cool, my boy is going to rule the world, yay, So he saw dead people, he saw old people, and he saw people sick with leprosy and parts falling off. He's like, "What's that?" And his driver's like, "That's people getting sick. It happens to everybody outside of the palace." And then people being born. He saw childbirth happening and this helpless little thing. And he goes, "Wah!" It's like, yeah, then we're born again. It starts over again. And that's when he decided, not on my planet, it's not. And that's when he left the. I always imagine the guy, Batman, Terminator, Christian Bale. Yeah, I always imagine him as, the superhero Lord Buddha. Not on my planet, it's not. And then he leaves the palace and becomes the Buddha, okay? So that's the classic four. And then the six are on that outline that I gave you. There's a classic list of six by the Panchen Lama. Having to be born again, going from high to low, having to take a new body again, and ultimately you're alone. There's a list of six. So we've got all these suffering lists in Buddhism. Trying to get it through a concrete head that it's like, look, you're in a prison worse than Gitmo, okay? You will be tortured every day until you're executed. Now, if you were in a situation like that and you only had a spoon to get through a 6-foot concrete wall, every day you're going to dig, right? And that's what we have to do. So that gets us on the path of the medium scope, We have to get out. And it's a very simple 3-part thing in this, okay? You have to live an ethical life. All right? You have to keep vows. Because you keep good vows, you get better at meditation. Because you get better at meditation, you get deeper and deeper wisdom about what's going on in the world. Which, when you understand where things are coming from, leads you to lead a more ethical life. Which makes you meditate better. Which gives you wisdom. Which gives you the updraft you need to get out of samsara, okay? That's the positive feedback loop to get out of the suffering. What does the text say? Yeah, so this part, he says, "Grant that these pure thoughts may lead me to be watchful and recall what I should be doing. Grant me to give the greatest care to make the vows of morality the essence of my practice. They are the root of the Buddha's teaching." So we see how he mentions meditation and wisdom in there too. Oh wait, he doesn't. Why is that? Because this is the foundation. Without this, the rest just aren't going to work. You can sit until you have calluses on your butt, You can read Jeffrey Hopkins' Emptiness book until your eyes bleed. Unless you are acting on the implication of all of that. And that's how you get this updraft. Are you with me? So if anyone were to ask you, why does Lord Tsongkhapa only mention keeping an ethical way of life, you could say it's because that's the basis of everything. Without that, the others aren't going to work. There's an analogy he makes in another text, I think on keeping freedom vows. You can't see the reflection of the moon in a dirty lake, which is obviously means to no. Unless your morality is pure, okay, you can meditate until that lake, your mind, is super still. But there's still not going to be any wisdom appearing on it. Wisdom being the reflection of the moon. So, you've got to clean the water Grant that these pure thoughts may lead me to be watchful. Oh, there's that word again. Seishin. Remember that in meditation? That's a part of your mind that goes, dude, wake up, wake up. And recall what I should be doing. Drenpa. That's recall. That's the part when you're first sitting down, you're trying to remember, or trying to keep your mind on what you're supposed to be meditating on. The point being that you have the same two tools for your ethical way of life as you do for becoming a good meditator. Right? How cool is that? So, this is the medium scope. And again, don't think of this as like, oh, but these are lame Buddhists. They're not in the greater way, right? No, they're part of it, okay? Paths shared. Questions? Comments? All right. Now we get to the great capacity. And as I said before, this is like the ones that went before, it's like you're a very good employee of Lord Buddha, okay? On the first one, you're just doing what he says. And the second one, you're working your way up to middle management. The third one is you want to own the company. You want to be Lord Buddha, all right, in whatever form you take, incorporated. This has two parts, all right. Say Semkepe.
Semkepe.
Tsul. Semke, as you remember, was one of the words for bodhicitta, the wish to reach enlightenment for the sake of every living being. Pei is some kind of verb tense, and then tsul, you remember from before, is like how to. So Semkepe tsul, how to think like a bodhisattva. And that is like, I don't know, you could like take a bodhisattva vow that you're going to reach enlightenment for the sake of all beings, and then try and do that in day-to-day life. And I'll take this moment to confess another bodhisattva fail on my part. I'm here early doing yoga, and then the trash guys, they put the dumpsters right like in front of the doors here. And I'm thinking, man, what the heck, you know? But it was real early, and I'm thinking, you know, it's like it's a business, don't they get? And then I realized, oh, they didn't put them over there because there's people sleeping in those other where they usually put it. It's like, okay, that's cool. I'm all right with that. And then so I'm doing my yoga. And then this guy comes up right between the dumpster and the door, unzips, and I'm like, no! What are you doing? You know? And I'm waving, it's like, what? And he just goes, you know, and takes off. Now, if I were a bodhisattva, I would have said, oh, dude, there's a bathroom right over here. And, you know, but it was a fail. I was just so shocked that someone had the temerity to be relieving himself right on the front door of a business. I just waved him away and he went away. So, bodhisattva fail, I confess. Sorry, I'm working on it. Hope you are too. Okay. So after you get this wish to reach enlightenment, okay, and that's just the morality of taking care of other people with the wish to reach enlightenment, all right? You're trying to accumulate goodness. You're trying to get in the habit of just taking care of people on a normal basis, in a normal way, so that when you're doing your practice to reach enlightenment, you're already in the habit of, you know, whatever you're doing is for other people, including meditating, including keeping an ethical way of life, so forth, etc. All right? Once you get this idea in your head, then you want to learn how to act like one. Say chupa, la lopsul. Okay, there's tsul again, how to. Chupa is like a way of life, acting on it. Now, we're talking about the greater way, the Tek-chen, the greater way. Then what? Can't think of the Sanskrit. Mahayana, the Mahayana. Maha is great, yana is vehicle. All right. Now, some people claim that, oh, in Buddhism there's the Hinayana, the lower vehicle. There's the Mahayana, the greater vehicle, and then there's the Vajrayana, the way of the diamond, the secret way, the tantra, all of that. Okay. Hopefully I've demonstrated that the so-called lower way is actually part and parcel to the greater way. And then here's another thing I want to point out. under the category of how to act like a bodhisattva, how to be a person of the greater way, it has two parts. Say do.
Do.
Do means sutra or open ways, and then ngak. Say ngak. Okay. The secret way, all right? The Vajrayana is part of the Mahayana. You're just using extraordinary methods to get to enlightenment so you can save living beings. It's not a separate way. And maybe we'll talk about that some more if we have some time. Yeah, we might need to. So, basically, when you're acting like a bodhisattva, let's just talk about the open way right now. I just wanted to make that point. Basically, you're acting on the 6 perfections, okay? And if you have bodhisattva vows, your secondary vows all fall into the categories of the 6 perfections. Different ways to give, okay? There's other divisions of giving. It's not just giving material things. It's giving protection to people. It's giving dharma to people. It's giving love to people who are lonely, okay? That's a perfection of giving. Ethical way of life, it falls under not hurting people, trying to help people, and then helping people for the sake of being for becoming a Buddha. What does it say in here? I have slipped and fallen into the sea of this suffering life. Bless me to see that every living being, every one my own mother, has fallen into. Grant me to practice the highest wish for enlightenment, to take on myself the task of freeing them all. That's getting the wish. It's like, yes, I'll do it. I'll become a Buddha. And he goes on to say, bless me to see clearly that the wish itself is not enough. For if I'm not well trained in the 3 moralities, I cannot become a Buddha. Grant me then a fierce resolve to master the vows for the children of the victors. Children of the victors are bodhisattvas. The victors are Buddhas. They're victory because they're victorious over all the obstacles. Children of the victors would be bodhisattvas, those who are studying. Buddha understudies. He mentions in here the 3 moralities. That's what I was just talking about. Don't hurt people. Try and help people. And then the first 2 together, for the sake of becoming a Buddha, is the 3rd morality. Not to be confused with the 3 kinds of vows. Long story. We have all these lists. All right, so to act like a bodhisattva, you're doing the 6 perfections. You're doing all 6 perfections with the last perfection, which is wisdom. You understand somewhat where the world's coming from. You understand that the good things you're doing must result in goodness for you. And done with the intention to reach enlightenment, that turbocharges any goodness you do. It's really nice to give some crumbs to pigeons in the street, right? But if you go, I got you now. You're going to be my student. I'm going to teach you how to reach enlightenment. Then it becomes a whole different thing, right? And then in here, okay, let's continue on with the text because it explains some of this up here. He says, grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together. Those are the last 2 perfections. Quietude being the perfection of meditation, insight being the perfection of wisdom. Grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together, one which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects, the other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way. Okay, what does this mean? We talked about before, meditation is the tool you need to get wisdom. Okay, so if someone were to ask you, how are we talking about the perfections? First he mentions the vows for the children of the victors. That's all 6 perfections. But then he pulls out, importantly, the last 2 and wants to bring them together. Okay, meditation and wisdom. All I could say is after you meditated on all this stuff, and there's great stuff in the text. Again, you've got to read the book, Pabonka Rinpoche's commentary on this verse. It's just like he pulls out everything and gives examples. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like, it's like years of practice just to get through that book. But, okay, the last two were meditation and insight, quietude and insight grow together. You know, you can read Arya Nagarjuna and all of his descriptions of emptiness and all of his messing with your head, you know, saying, well, you know, you can't, no one gets anywhere unless there's someone to be going, and there's no going with somebody without a goer, so I guess nobody goes anywhere. And you go, what? Let's see, there's no going without a goer, and there's no goer without some going happening. So neither one of those things can exist the way we think we do. It's like, wait, there's just going and there's a goer, right? But, you know, and you meditate on that, it messes with your, wait, so neither one of those things can exist without the other, but they seem like they're independent things, but they're not, but they're, you know, meditation on wisdom, okay? It might come that sometime, like logic, like you can't think your way to wisdom, all right? It really helps. It gets you on the diving board, okay? You could get to a place in meditation where the logic has gotten you to this crystal blue sky, you know, like it's like emptiness ahead. There it is, wisdom, you know. But it's like you're still stuck. You're still on the diving board. You can't get off. But you get to that place where you see it's like, oh, I'm starting to get it now. Okay. And then I think when you eventually get off that diving board, it's just going to be like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, one of the books, they explain how to fly. You just fall down. You just fall and forget to hit the ground. Okay, so I think, you know, you can't think yourself and it's like, I do this, this, and this, boom, I'm seeing emptiness, okay, and I'm an Arya now. But all of the study and all of the practice, just plain classroom hours, gets you to that cliff. And I think when it happens, you're just going to be there on that cliff, and then suddenly the winds are going to just pick you up, but you won't even know it. Until you land, and then you go, oh wow, I was just flying, you know. I think maybe that's how it's going to work. So that's where quietude and insight join together. What, may you ask, are the technical definitions of quietude and insight? I'm glad you asked me that. Quietude, this ninth stage of meditation that we're at, also known as shamatha in Sanskrit, or shine in Tibetan, is that single-mindedness which is imbued with the exceptional bliss of practiced ease. Wow, exceptional bliss, that sounds good. It is really true. When you get good at meditation, stuff happens in your body and your mind, and it's like, it's all you want to do. Unfortunately, you can't do it all the time, but you want to do a lot of it because it's like, wow, I'm really good at this. Like anything else you get good at, you know? If you're a superstar ping pong player, it's like, you always suggest to your friends, hey, want to play some ping pong? Okay? Because you're good at it, and it's enjoyable. Meditation's like that, only. The exceptional bliss of practice ease, where does that come from? Oh, it's due to deep, single-pointed meditation upon its object. So whichever of any of these objects you select, or selecting wisdom, you get to this place, this exceptional bliss of practice ease. That is the ultimate form of meditation, the ultimate form of the fifth of the six perfections. What is the other part, that whole wisdom thingy? Vipassana in Sanskrit. Say it just for the blessing. Vipassana.
Vipassana.
Say it like Apu. Vipassana. Or in Tibetan, Hak Tong, which means exceptional seeing. Tong is to see or perceive. Hak is like amazing. Wow. Cool.
Is that H?
Yeah, it's an H. This is that wisdom. Okay, so the other one was that single-mindedness. This is that wisdom which is full of the exceptional bliss of practiced ease. There's that exceptional bliss and practiced ease again. So they both have exceptional bliss and they both have practiced ease. This one is wisdom, the other one is quietude or single-pointedness. So where does the practice or the bliss come from here? By the power of the analysis of its object. And which is founded on quietude. Oh, there's the key. This one, this wisdom, is founded. It needs that quietude. It needs the previous one. You need that to get it. So this is what Tsongkhapa means when he says, grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together. One which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects, the other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way, meaning the emptiness of things. Does that make sense? So if you had to write these on your final, you could... It comes in parts, right? It's just the subject, full of exceptional bliss. Where does it come from? This one comes from quietude. The other one, same thing. That single-mindedness imbued with the exceptional bliss of practice ease, due to deep single. So they're real easy. One last thing I want to say about the other. So this is like the ultimate form of the Bodhisattva path, right? When you get these together, in other words, when you see emptiness, you reach the first Bodhisattva level. And there's 10 of them, the 10th one being enlightenment, all right? You come out of the direct perception of emptiness. When quietude and insight join together, you're on your way out. You're done, and you're taking everybody with you. It's awesome. Hope to get there. What was it? I was talking with a friend out at Diamond Mountain. We'd both been going through difficult times, and she said, you know, I better get some realizations after all of this. And I said, excruciating pain? Yes, that. So, it's hard work, okay? It's hard work, but it's worth it. What else could be worth it? Do I have anything else? Okay. And then I want to talk just a little bit about, because Tsongkhapa goes on. Last week I promised that all of the books of the monastery are in here, and then just a hint of Tantra, okay? Or the secret way. He says, grant that once I've practiced well the paths shared, all of these, and become a vessel that is worthy, I enter with perfect ease the way of the diamond, the highest of all ways, the holiest door to come inside for the fortunate and the good. Okay, so he's saying here that it's like, once you're really, really good at these, I mean, come on, if you have the Bodhisattva wish, and everybody's your mother, and they're all suffering, okay? All those people out there trying to be happy, doing things, trying to be happy, and you know it's going to end for you. They don't know, or they're not even looking at the fact that it's going to end for them, and it hurts, you know, it's painful. If you've really got this Bodhisattva thing, and you have to save every living being, and you know you don't have much time because you've done your death meditation, you don't know how much time you have, and you know that it's like, because of your meditation on or opportunities and resources, that it's like everything is set. It's all there on the table for you. You just have to dig in. And this is probably the only chance you get if you just look at all the other beings in the world, and it's like, how did I luck out? All right? So here you have, what is it in Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility, okay? You have to become Spider-Man, all right? And it's in the text. Pabonka Rinpoche talks a little bit about, look, this is if you have compassion, it's even in the introduction, Ken Rinpoche saying, but look, all these people are suffering, you have to save them now. Is there a way to do it, like, quickly? He says, why, yes, there is. You have to enter the way of the diamond because you're using exceptional tools. One translation of the word tantra is continuum. It's a string. It's this kind of automatic thing when when you're really good at the paths shared, you go, wow, okay, I've got to do something about it. If you understand the emptiness of yourself and everybody in the world around you, you go, well, so what can I do with that? Pobonka Rinpoche says, describes Tantra as taking the result as the path. What does that mean? What's the result? What's the result of all Buddhism? Enlightenment, being a Buddha, living in paradise, being surrounded by other enlightened beings all the time. How do you take that as a path? Well, okay, if things are empty, how am I doing for time?
Good.
All right, and everyone around me could be really an ordinary person, or, you know, they could be an enlightened person. How are you going to treat that person? What if you wake up in the morning and you realize your partner, it's like, oh my gosh, you're an enlightened being. They always have been. You're going to take really good care of them, right? So what if you could do that with everybody? All right? What if you're doing all of your practice and you're doing it kind of like, it's all just kind of a victory lap, you know, in NASCAR, you know, you win and then you get to drive around the track yourself. Or in the Olympics, you know, the skater, it's like after they've won all of the points and all of that, then they get to do just like an exposition, they just skate. But they're skating, and it's usually the most beautiful performance of the entire show because they already won. They're the gold medalist and they know it. And they're just